But what are your best practices when negotiating dynasty trades? Like, what are some tricks that you have up your sleeve to get to help facilitate these trades?
Yeah, so I think the easiest one, and look, I've been there, and I still to this day, try to pull the wool over people's eyes every now and then. But shockingly, the easiest way to get a deal done and negotiate is putting your pride aside and putting together an offer that actually is mutually beneficial. It's the first way to get it done because, like,
Shocker. That's
there's a
a
lot of times
shocking.
where I put
Yeah.
together a deal, and on the surface, I feel like if you just gave me, a player A and player B for player C and player D, I might say it's pretty even. But you look into the context of the team, and I ask myself the question every time of why would this other manager accept this trade? Like, what makes it good for? Because even if the value is there, because a lot of times what we managers do is instead of giving you the deal that is deserving for the player you're trying to trade for, we try and water it down a little bit to not give up maybe that last piece that we're trying to hold on to on our rosters. And you got to be careful with that because you toe the line the wrong way, you end up on the wrong side, you give someone a ridiculous offer, that's the worst way to start a trade negotiation because you've told your counterpart, I am out to get you. Like I am trying to steal your players away and I do not want to give up anything. You can recover from that, but the easiest way to negotiate a trade is actually look to mutually benefit the other manager. And the other part of that is communicating with them, asking them what they're looking for. Seth and I talk a lot about how, you don't want to maybe table talk. We talk a lot about table talk and how in trades, it can be more beneficial to just be open about what you're trying to do. Hey, I'm trying to sell some of my old veterans and get some picks. Are you interested in improving your receiver core? Like, what? And you can have a conversation because at the end of the day, if I'm not trying to buy veterans from Seth, I'm not going to do it. So there's no point in keeping your cards close to your chest. So my two pillars are just coming in earnestly and trying to have a mutually beneficial approach and having open communication. And then the third is also just being persistent, like understanding it's not going to happen on the first try, and it's not going to happen with the first person you try and trade with. It may take multiple people. It may take one trade to parlay into another trade. You just have to be patient and keep playing the cards.
Yeah, and I would say too, and just flexibility is your greatest weapon in
Mm-hmm.
trades, in trade negotiations, because when you have leverage, like when you're exploring trade opportunities with multiple partners, whereas like you should be communicating with your league mates, hopefully semi regularly. I would advise, like, if you play in sleeper, they make it so easy that it's a DM feature. Like,
Yep.
just send them a little message, and it's so easy for them to reply. And I have actually a few messages I need to get back to, actually. But I know they're there, and I communicate regularly with the people in my league. And knowing your league mates, at least from that text message, like, and knowing their roster too,
Mm-hmm.
helps so much, because I can't tell you how many times I have just gotten spam offers. We've all done it. We've all sent the spam, like, I'll give you this player for a first. I'll just throw this in as a quick aside. What alleviates that is the one of my favorite things, and that's the menu. What I mean by that is the trade bait. Just say like Debo for any first or whatever, like just player, and then you can do it on Sleeper. I think you can change the nicknames or whatever. But I love doing that. I love the menu, or the trade bait menu is what I call it. That can help you facilitate trades too. But like knowing what the other person needs, right? Knowing their roster, communicating with everybody in the league, and pinning basically everybody against, like, so if you want to explore a trade for David Montgomery and you ask the price and it's way too high. You're like, I can't even negotiate this. Okay, who has Joe Mixon or who has Alvin Kamara or who has, just don't get stuck on one player. Just try to find the best deal. It's just like it's just like my dad. I don't know about your dad or anybody else's dad, but my dad would always like, if the can of beans was 5 cents too expensive, he'd be like, nah, we no, we can't do that. We got to go somewhere else, or like maybe I'll get beans at the next time when they're on sale. Like that. I feel like that's a good practice when you're making these dynasty trades. So yeah, and there's so many things, and like you talked about pulling the wool over somebody's eye. Like I am definitely somebody who does not lead with my best offer either. Like I want to test the waters. I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna try to like see, like I might try to see, like, because this game that we play, this negotiation game and trades, is like information gathering. Like, so if I know what trade calculator you're using, if I know like who your favorite team is, if I know like all of it can sometimes give me an advantage to try to,
right,
so which I wear my favorite team on my sleeve, so what my favorite team is. But like all of these little things can add up in your corner and just like help you out. And again, all it would cost you is like a DM, or make a joke in the league chat, appropriate joke in the league chat. Just be active in your league, and I think all of that helps. And it sounds silly, but I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a difference between not coming in with your best offer and still having a mutually beneficial offer versus not. An example, I received an offer where I can't remember the full package, but there were some players involved, and then on my end, I would send a first round pick. And then I didn't respond to it because I was busy and I didn't get to it. And then he modified it, and instead of the first, it was a second and a fourth. So like that's how you can still put together like a mutually beneficial offer and then say, you know what, like I'm willing to, instead of a first, make it a second and a fourth. The version I was talking about was like, instead of giving you back, Jalen Waddle, for example, I'll give you back, Josh Down, or maybe not Josh Downs, but like Dontavian Way. They start compiling, instead of one really good player, I'll try and give you three like mediocre players, that type of water down. So I think it's a good distinction where like you don't necessarily want to lead with your best offer, but don't get too ridiculous.